Hello Oracles! Well, it was super fun getting to wear my green shirt yesterday, but unfortunately, the market had other plans for today. Tesla down our lucky 7, almost 7% again on the day, just in a deep downward trend. Don't know how much further we're going to fall. So, looking at some of the news that we have gotten recently as far as when can we finally see some relief coming out of this market? Well, the Fed president in Atlanta, Bostic, had mentioned yesterday that he is contemplating saying, you know what, probably could put the brakes on the rate hikes come September, and we could maybe knock it down to a 25 basis point hike, or maybe none at all. So this goes back to a statement I had made a couple of months ago about how we watch things in the market and the manipulation goes all over the place. We don't always know what's driving this manipulation. The media many a times just puts a story out there that justifies what is, causing this manipulation and the big ups and the big downs. Whatever it is, the media just puts a story on it to try and explain why they think it's happening. But a lot of times we don't truly know. Sometimes you do have clear signs, but other times it's like, why is the market moving this way? And this is what I refer to as the market magic, the manipulation magic of the market. So looking at something I had mentioned a few months ago was we're coming to midterm elections, and I can just see now that we're going to come to September, early October, and inflation is just going to magically disappear, and the Fed won't have to raise rates as much as they did before, and the election time is going to look all pretty in the stock market because, hey, inflation's going away. And when we talk about it now, or even when I mentioned it a couple of months ago, you say, why? What could possibly cause us to get there? There were no signals telling us that we were going to see that. And now Bostic is mentioning how we might have to put the reins on and pull back and not raise rates as much in September. That is our first signal going to the magic of the manipulation of the market. Like, hey, the inflation is magically going away just like we had thought it would. So, many people, whether you want to believe it's because what the Fed is doing is working or not, whatever it is, I have a feeling, and now we're starting to get signals that this is what's going to happen. We are going to see this turn come in September. And I mentioned it the other day, what is really going to give us the signal for the market to turn around is the Fed not raising rates anymore, or potentially having to turn down the rates and drop them a little bit at the end of all of this because inflation maybe came down too far. So still a lot of time between now and then, but we're starting to get these signals that are indicating that we are going to get a lot more of a dovish Fed as we get closer to election time, which could be cheered by the market and in turn have us rally a little bit. Again, I'm not keeping my hopes up just because of the fact that looking at how beat up we are right now, I don't know if it's going to happen or if it's going to last if it does happen. Still a lot going on, because we're still looking at the fact that the market was definitely inflated over the last 2 years. When you've got rates that are nearly zero for 2 years, the market took off and definitely was overbought significantly. I wouldn't say so much we were in a bubble, but we were definitely inflated, and we have clearly been seeing that inflation in the market has been coming down. I think that's going to be the leading indicator as to the rest of the consumer inflation coming down. We've already seen what could potentially be that inflection point. We'll get more confirmation on June 10th with that CPI data that comes out to make sure that we are still trending in that downward direction. But then we also have a lot of signals telling us that the housing market is also going to be coming down. So a lot of the numbers that we're going through right now seem to be coming back to pre-pandemic levels. We have many stocks right now that are trading at pre-pandemic levels. We actually have some stocks that are trading at pandemic low levels. So we have pulled back significantly, just kind of retracing our ground back to where we were before the whole pandemic hit. So do we fall further than this? We might. I mean, a lot of people have been out there arguing that, the bubble that we were in for 10 years after the housing market, we were due for a pullback anyway. We got a little bit in 2018 when the Fed was raising rates, and then they flipped and the market took off some more. We got that during the COVID crash. We crashed hard, but then recovered very quickly. We never got that really long, drawn out, pullback like we did for the housing market recession. So we were kind of due for this. A lot of times it goes in 10-year cycles. So we've now pulled back to those levels that we saw during the pandemic. We might pull back a little bit further and then kind of sit flat for a little while as the economy and the entire market just kind of regain their footing and kind of get a new foundation to build off of again. Now, during these times, it is very painful. You go back to the dot-com bubble. That lasted quite a while, and some stocks took 13 years to recover, if recovered at all. And then we have the housing market crash, which a lot of stocks did not come out of, but some came out extremely strong, like Google, Amazon, all the FANG stocks. Apple did very well. Facebook did very well. I have a feeling we're kind of going to get a combination of those two pullbacks. Of both recessions that we saw, I think we're going to get a combination of the two. We're probably going to get a long, drawn out, maybe 18-month to 2-year pullback where we're sideways, maybe trading up slightly, but it'll be painful for a little while. And then when we come out of it, companies that are going to be the most disruptive, changing innovation, the things that are going to change the face of the planet over the next 10 years are going to be the companies that come out of this strong. So while we look back at 2001, when Amazon was really doing well during the dot-com bubble and then everything crashed, Amazon came down 90%. Even if you bought at the peak of that dot-com bubble for Amazon, within 18 years, you would still 15x your money. If you bought it at the lows, you would have done significantly better. So looking at those times there, if you compare that to Tesla now, it did take Amazon to get through the housing market crash to really take off. So Tesla, I think, is going to be in potentially a similar combination situation where I don't think it's going to take them that long to really boom coming out of this recession. Now, granted, we're not technically in a recession yet, but we're definitely looking like we're going in that direction. So whether we actually get a recession or not, we've definitely seen this pullback and we may pull back further. So coming out of this bear market and this pullback that we are currently in, I think Tesla's going to come out of this one of the strongest. And I don't think Tesla's going to take as long to come out of this as Amazon did. But even if they do, and maybe the market waits for another massive recession or pullback of some sort in 8 to 10 years, at that point, Tesla would definitely boom coming out of that. So right now, the way I'm viewing Tesla is very much like an Amazon or like Apple did coming out of the recession in 2008 and 2009. Might get a combination of the two, and the longer Tesla stays trading down or sideways, the faster and the larger it's going to explode coming out of it. Very similar to how Tesla traded for the first 10 years. For 10 years, Tesla basically traded sideways and didn't do much, and then boom, took off over the last 2 or 3 years. So we may see that same thing happen, maybe not. Nobody knows the future, but either way, looking down the road, Tesla is going to be a major player going forward. And if you're looking at any other stocks in this situation, look at those same stocks that you see disrupting and innovating for the future. We've already gotten words from basically, we have the signals. We know that the entire world is moving towards renewable energy. We're moving towards EVs. This is the direction we're going. So yes, this turmoil that we're in right now is very painful, but look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says, hold long. That's what he does. He's been through all of this longer than anyone else has. And look at how well he has done. And he's a hodler, clearly. So what can we do to get ourselves into that same situation? You hold. Obviously you want to be wise with it, make sure you're picking stocks that you think are going to do well. Make sure you still follow them. Their fundamentals must stay strong. Lots of different things to factor in. He didn't just throw money into a stock and hold and just hope for the best. But if you can put your money into the stocks that you feel are going to do best long term, then you just do that and you dollar cost average. And yes, maybe you're not going to hit the bottom, but even if you don't hit the bottom, if you're dollar cost averaging, you will average yourself down to the best price that you could have during the times that we're trading down and sideways. So when we do come out of this, then we will do the best we possibly can. And so for me, I'm always preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. So this is why my strategy is kind of balancing cash while still dollar cost averaging, keeping myself with a lot of different opportunities and options to play the market and take whatever the market is willing to give me. And I like to call my strategy being optimistically conservative because I'm not dumping all of my money in there, and I'm optimistic that we are going to do well. I'm optimistic that we'll get a couple more rallies before the end of the year, at least to give us some opportunities to not suffer every day with 7% drops in Tesla, but maybe some opportunities to see some green, even some opportunities to maybe flip like my IRA. Maybe I can flip some back and forth and make a little bit of profit here and there. If we can get a little bit of that, I think that'll be a good win for the year. But as I said yesterday, I'm not holding my breath for a good, strong year. I do think we are going to finish net green on the year, but we have a long way to go to get to that point. And I think a little bit of this manipulation magic coming September is going to help us out. So you can mark it on your calendars. Let's see if I am right. I'm going to put it in my calendar to see if September time rolls around and inflation magically goes away and the market starts to rally and looks good again. So normally we don't rally during a midterm election, but we might get something similar to that around that time frame, just going into the election time with inflation going away. But again, I don't know, but this is my prediction and we'll see what happens come September. Let me know in the comments below, do you think we are going to get some market manipulation magic before the end of the year, that we just somehow surprise turn around and have a little bit of a rally at some point? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.